What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us this fine Sunday morning, right before, about an hour before kickoff, for those noon or 1 p.m. games if you're in the East Coast or whatnot. Rios, how's it going, bud? You excited for today's game?
It feels good playing meaningful football in December. It's been a long, long fucking time.
It did. It has, dude. It has. It's awesome seeing that our team has been doing great, and it's been great saying that all season as opposed to previous ones. We're going against the New York Jets, who seem to be having the same issues that we were having a few years ago. It's like a whole debacle of a mess. Not unsure of the quarterback or whatnot position or whatnot, but I guess we're going against Zach Wilson, right? That's who was chosen.
Yep.
To Even though he kind of didn't want to at one point.
I mean, I don't blame him. I won't want to go there either.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Yeah, he's you could tell that there's going to be our defense. I believe if for those of you who are in fantasy, I hope you have the Texans defense on today because they're going to just wreak havoc on Zach Wilson. So if you have for those again on fantasy, I would get the Houston Texans defense because I could see some sacks coming today. So let's talk about the defense real quick. I mean, Will Anderson has been just
Game wrecker.
a game wrecker since last week against Russell Wilson. He made like you said, Rios. He basically made Russell Wilson. He exposed Russell Wilson to be like basically a game manager, or that's
That
about
he
it.
is.
That he is. Yeah, he exposed Russell Wilson. How do you think he's going to perform today against Zach Wilson?
Ooh, man. He's going to have nightmares after this game.
He's going to be
he's going to be like Derek Carr. I mean, David Carr wakes up in the middle of the night hearing footsteps. Oh, someone's about to sack me.
Will, is that you? Yeah, exactly. He's exactly. I don't think Zach Wilson's gonna. I can't even say he's gonna be good. He's gonna be. It's gonna be a mess. That's my prediction, at least. Just the way that these Texans have been performing, the defense. Will Anderson again has been phenomenal. Derek Stingley, who's had 4 interceptions in the last 3 games, like. It seems like that defense is going to feast today, is going to eat. I'm just excited to see some really good the defense step up, which we desperately need because in key situations, our defense loves to give us borderline heart attacks because it's like we know your potential, you're good. Why do you keep letting them get those third down conversions?
Well, look, the way my healthcare is set up, I can't afford a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly. My deductible is too high right now, so I'm not. I don't feel like I don't feel like paying that much.
I would have to sell a kidney to pay my deductible. I don't want
exactly. Rios would have to sell his kidney to fix the other kidney. That's how bad it is right now. Oh, healthcare. No, but
oh, America.
But yeah, I think defensively we're gonna. I want to see a little bit more of Jalen Petrie. Because this whole season, you and I have talked about how there's been some regression, how there's been some moments where it's like, oh, come on, that was how do you call it? Jalen Petrie could have just come up with like an interception or missed tackles. A lot of fundamental work. A lot of
especially in coverage. He's had a lot of boneheaded errors in coverage. I know it's not his strength, but like, bro, it's part of your job as a safety. You're gonna have to cover someone, and he's just been taking real bad angles. Hopefully, they worked on that this week. Then again, the weather's pretty bad. It's raining. It's cold. I think like the wind gust is like 20 miles an hour, so probably won't have a lot of passes thrown. Early on, I think the weather's not too bad. I think in the second half, when the weather starts to get ugly, so there's going to be a lot of running the ball. So that's going to play to the Texans' strength because we're great at stopping the run.
That's true.
And Zach Wilson can't throw the ball, so
yeah, exactly.
he's happy about that.
Well, but there'll be a running back game. So this week the Texans signed Adrian Amos, who's a former Jets safety. I think it's good because we need some depth at safety at the safety position because I think Houston Carson, who has been pretty decent for us, is out this particular game, right?
Yeah, he's out and Schultz is out.
Schultz is out as well. Yeah, I mean, Schultz we kind of expected, especially in this particular kind of game where it almost seems like it's now I'm not counting it out fully, but it almost seems like one of those games where it's going to go towards the Texans because just of the inconsistencies in the Jets organization right now. Let's be honest, it's in shambles, right? And so I think Amos, he's familiar with the Jets defensive scheme, of course. So I think that's going to be a plus for Bobby Slowick to have him on there. So I don't even really think he much needed it, if anything.
No.
But hey, we do need that depth at safety because we get Jimmy Ward. Were we able to figure out if Jimmy Ward was out or is he in today?
He's in. I didn't see him on the injury report, so he should be
Okay, so
playing.
most likely is in because Jimmy Ward had that game-ending interception last week against Russell Wilson. Phenomenal, chef's kiss, as Rios would say, right? Let me see. So I think we might see some stuff from Amos today, just again because of his familiarity with the Jets' offensive scheme and defensive scheme, of course. Let me see. Who else am I? Okay. Rios, anything else you want to add on to that?
Well, the Jets haven't allowed a 300-yard passer in about 30 games, which is
Mhm.
going back over 2.5 seasons. So I don't see it happening today. He'll probably still get about 200, but I don't think he'll eclipse that 300-yard mark either, which is
Yeah.
a notch in that defense's belt because their secondary is top 3.
Yes. Yeah. Their secondary is pretty tough. Do you? Their secondary is top 3, top 4, whatever it was. I can't remember off the
Top
top of my
3.
head. Top 3.
Top 3.
So, I mean, they do the thing that they do really well is they do hold receivers to like a 76.1 rating. And CJ Stroud does rely a lot on his wide receivers. So, obviously with Tank Dell not being active, until next season or whatnot, I feel like that does put a little bit of a damper in his plans or whatnot. But what we've seen from CJ though is that he's been able to make these receivers like actual playmakers.
Especially Nico. He's number 1 in the NFL against man coverage.
Exactly.
The Jets' strength is man coverage, so it should be an interesting matchup.
Do
with
you
Sauce and Nico?
Do you expect Nico Collins to go over 100 yards today?
No,
you don't think so?
I don't think any receiver does. Like I said, the first half they're gonna try to throw as much as they can because that second half it's gonna be a downpour, so it's gonna be pretty hard to throw the ball.
Got it. Okay, so okay. You don't see any receiver going. Okay, so most likely. Okay, let me put through this. But do you see Dameon Pierce or Devin Singletary actually hitting that 100-yard mark today?
I see Singletary hitting it.
Okay.
I think if we do throw the ball, it's going to be a lot of short passes out of the backfield and to like the tight ends. Hopefully, they utilize Brevin Jordan more in the middle of the field versus the outside because I think you can expose the Jets a little bit in the middle of the field.
Yeah. I think that's where they have some of their concerns, just like last week with the Broncos, right? Just in the middle of the field. Brevin Jordan. I mean, he had himself last week. He had himself a pretty, I would say, decent game. He got open when he needed to. He got the first downs when CJ Stroud and the Texans needed it, of course. So I could see Brevin Jordan having a pretty decent game today. A lot of you said a lot of short passes, right? Also in the game, because of the downpour or whatnot. But yeah, I could agree with you on seeing Devin Singletary hit like at least 100 yards or something. The only thing, so last week, going back to the Broncos game, I saw Dameon Pierce had some bursts in him that I hadn't seen in quite a while. He was looking like you could tell he was looking for those holes to go through or whatnot, as opposed to just going down the field and trying to hit as many linemen as possible, right? So I feel like I'm hoping that today we actually get to see some more, maybe some elusiveness out of Dameon Pierce. What do you think, Rios?
Yeah, I think they're going to probably split the carries early on to see who has the hot hand, and you ride the hot hand. You don't want to force it with one running back versus the other. Like whoever is, shows that burst is, making the right reads. Ride the hot hand till they stop them.
Yeah, basically next man up, right? I mean, at this point, Singletary has outperformed Dameon Pierce, and I mean, I just feel like I'm out of a jersey now. But no, nonetheless, it's just no. Honestly,
it's on its way to Africa now.
That's right. Yeah, I'm about to send it. It's just like I've seen, but like you and I have said before, I think it's basically the change in scheme or whatnot that has probably affected Dameon Pierce's performance this season, and maybe it's one of those things where hey, I may need another year to adjust to it or whatnot, and hopefully that's it, and hopefully we get to see more of Dameon Pierce at least to the remaining of the season, and obviously for next season just to be like the old Dameon Pierce that we used to see or whatnot. But yeah, man, that's my thoughts on Dameon Pierce.
Like I said, I think he's the more dynamic of the two, but it's just been struggling in just the scheme. I'm sure they've been working on it in practice. We'll see if they can actually put it together for today. Again, I have been saying for weeks now that Singletary should be like the 1A back, the
Yeah.
guy between the 20s, and keep Pierce the short yardage, but change it up a little bit so the defense doesn't notice. Hey, Pierce is out there to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, exactly. Change it up because then after a while it does become a bit predictable. Almost kind of like remember when they were using Tank Dell as a running back, and then we were like, oh, Tank's
Yeah, he's
running
gonna
it.
run the ball.
He's gonna run the ball. And yeah, so you mentioned Brevin Jordan earlier, and so last week he had 4 targets, 3 receptions, and 64 yards. That's not bad at all. On week 13. So yeah, I can see him going up a little bit more. Maybe getting some more carries, not carries. I'm sorry, receptions today. Just because, like you said earlier, to expose the Jets like middle of the field or whatnot. So it might be a Brevin Jordan game. Who knows? I think that might have been a good pickup. Would you pick him up in fantasy?
I picked him up last week because I have Dallas Guard. He's injured, and then I also had Schultz also injured. So I picked him up. He put up like 8 or 9 points. If you're in a deep league, you're basically scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to waiver wire pickups.
At this point,
9 points is not too bad for a tight end, especially tight ends this year. It's been a weak position this year in fantasy.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even like I have George Kittle, and for like the first good few weeks, it was just bad. Like I could barely get like 2 or 3 points out of him.
Yeah, I've had Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet. There'll be games where they're out there doing cardio. 0.
They're just blocking.
I drafted Kyle Pitts in the beginning of the year. After a couple 0 games, you know what? I'm just gonna drop this guy because it was just wasting spots on my bench.
Yeah. Let me talk about Noah Brown. So looking at last week's game, I don't think I saw anything out of Noah Brown last week. Do you expect any of that to change this week?
I think so. I think it was a little bit of rust because he was out almost 4 games when he came back. So he's a little bit of rust. I think he'll have a better game this week.
Yeah, because before he went out, dude, he was balling out. It almost seemed like wide receiver 1 over there at one point. Remember that?
Yeah, back-to-back 100-yard games.
Yeah, it was like, wow, okay, Noah Brown, where you come from? But yeah, last week, like I said, I didn't see much of him, but I think this week we should be able to see some more of him because just like you said, he's coming back from an injury or whatnot. So we should see some Noah Brown. Robert Woods, we got Robert Woods. He's helpful, but you just can't rely on Robert Woods all the time,
No.
down the field. But he can get if there's like if the Jets are really not that good in the middle of the field, I think that those are some really key positions you can use. Robert Woods and get your first downs in or whatnot, short throws or whatnot. I think he'd be very good at that.
Well, for this game, I think what we're really going to need is his blocking ability.
Yeah,
as a receiver, he's a great blocker, and I think in the type of game they're going to play today, that they're really going to need their guys to be on their blocks.
It's gonna be very it's gonna be rainy and just cold. It almost reminds me of, do you remember that? I think back in 2012, that game against the Chicago Bears. It was like the Aaron Foster
Monday Night Football game. Yeah.
God, and then so there was I don't know if you knew, there was an interview afterwards, like with years later down the line after Arian retired or whatever. He said he woke up because it was the Arian Foster Little League game, because I think he had the only scoring or one of the only. Yeah, the only touchdown. That's what it was.
Receiving touchdown, yeah.
Yeah, receiving touchdown. So I thought it was funny how he just kind of like he had an interview and he said he woke up the following morning, he couldn't move. He said he could not move because he got hit. It was just basically an Aaron Foster game. He was getting hit the entire game and he couldn't move. He struggled to get up and go to the restroom. And it was I couldn't imagine. He says lower back was just done, and then he went out and played the following week.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. I think Cecil said it best when he was on the show. It's like being in a car wreck the next morning.
Yeah, he said it was just awful. So every time I think that, it reminds me of these type of games. Are going to remind me. So I feel like Devin Singletary and Damian Pierce are just going to go through it today. Now
they're gonna feel it in the morning.
They're gonna definitely feel it in the morning. All right, one thing that and this is one of those things that I want to be careful about, because obviously you never. So that Jets field, like they're adding the climate to it, adding all the downpour has been just basically atrocious to a lot of the players that have played there that've gotten injured. It's a very injury prone field. Like today, I'm actually, this is a game that I was kind of like not wanting to see as much, just because I knew, we've been plagued with injuries this season. The whole Texans team has been plagued with injuries, and now we're walking into an environment where the stadium itself is like full of injuries. Do you have any concern regarding that, Rios, today, going into today's game?
No, you can't go, thinking of worrying about injuries. It could happen, at home in your bathtub or whatnot. You can't really, go into a game worrying about, oh, this field's here, I won't get hurt. Just gotta go out there and play your game.
Yeah, it's I know, it's just like, man, these these injuries pile up. Obviously, with the Tank Dell one, that was the most detrimental one for the Texans. But yeah, after this, it's just like, you're almost like, you're in the playoff hunt now. And
Yeah.
so one more, any more of those injuries, man, can just be, could really mess up those hopes or whatnot. We saw with Trevor Lawrence this past week, the high ankle sprain too.
Well, I mean,
And
he's playing
so,
today. I think it's a
is he
mistake, but he's
actually playing?
playing. He's actually playing
Oh wow!
against
Okay,
Cleveland. That's
which is
man,
which has a pretty decent defense, might I
top
add?
deep, top defense in the league.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's a
I
mistake.
think that's a mistake, but
That's a mistake.
because I know Mahomes played on the high ankle sprain last year, but that was the playoffs.
Yeah,
Your season's literally on the line. This, like, you still got some time left in the regular season.
yeah,
I think it's a mistake with the Jacks putting him out there, but
yeah,
I mean, hopefully he makes it through the game.
yeah.
Like I said, you
No,
don't wish injuries on anybody, man.
no,
Like,
of course, yeah. But it's just like, wow, yeah,
at the
that's
same
crazy.
time, sometimes you gotta, protect the guys from themselves. Like, I'm sure he's rearing to go out there, but
Oh
like
well, yeah. It's
us the
almost like,
training
okay,
staff, like, bro, like, take a seat. Like, it's just one
yeah.
game. We'll be all right.
It's almost like last week. Like, yes, protecting guys from themselves. Last week, our own CJ Stroud. Remember, he fell, came up a little wobbly, and then he was like, "No, I'm good, I'm good." And then they put Davis Mills in for like
One play.
one for a drive. Oh, excuse me, yeah, for a play. And so then
No, it's
at
funny.
that
I saw the video. Like, he came out of the blue tent and jumped over the bench.
just completely jogged, not jogged, just like ran through there, sprinted all the way across. Yeah,
It's like, all right,
great
Davis, that's
time.
enough. You had your one pass. You're good.
You had your pass. You're good, Davis. Let's give it
Back to the bench.
back to the bench. Give me water. No. But yeah, dude, like that's what I'm kind of concerned about myself. That's probably just my anxiety going in, but whatever. So let's see. So we talked about, okay, Derek Stingley. You
Stingley
can
and
tell he's gonna
sauce.
have an interception today.
Yeah.
I cannot, with the way that the Jets are playing and their consistency at quarterback, I'm predicting an interception today or two from Derek Stingley. Get those numbers up. It's gonna be a little good.
Stingley and Will Anderson, they're gonna have games again this week.
It's gonna really show. Yeah, they're gonna feast today, dude. They're gonna feast today. But yeah, I don't see, like I said, it's very hard for me to see a win come out of the Jets today.
Yeah, it does have the makings of a trap game, similar
It
to what we
does,
saw
right?
against the Falcons and the Panthers. But
Carolina.
hopefully they've learned from those mistakes, and you know what? Don't take anybody lightly. You treat every game like it's a playoff game.
Yeah, they have, at this point they have to, because going back to those games, the Carolina game, the Carolina game, and the what was the other game? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. Falcons game. Those were those were very winnable games, just like this one, right? And I guess we got a little overconfident and we ended up losing that game. It happens. And so I think at this point, you have to take this game very seriously, even no matter how the other team is doing. You got to take it. Then, make sure that you get the win. It's just focus, because once we start losing that, it's over. Start making bonehead decisions.
As the old saying goes, any given Sunday.
Any given Sunday. That's right. That's right.
Because this game means a lot to the Texans, because if they win, 74% chance of making the playoffs. Yeah. 74.
But it had gone up there with Trevor Lawrence being injured to 82, but did it go back down, obviously, since he's back in with that?
So if they win, 74%, they're almost a lock for the playoffs if they win today. They lose, it goes down to 41, and you basically are relying on other teams to help you get in, and you don't want to be in that situation, because
no,
you want to control your own destiny.
That's true. All right, let's do the. So we're about to go. We're gonna do a short one today. Let's do some predictions as far as the score is concerned. I say. I think they're gonna divide the ball, running the ball, pretty well with Pierce and David Singletary. I'm gonna say both of them. I think they reach 100 yards combined.
I can see
I
that.
don't think each one get the way it's been going. I don't think they will one of them will go for like 100 or whatnot. I think each one of them shares it a good amount. And they'll probably have like 50 each or something like that, or 50 something each. So I'm gonna say it'll be like you said, it's gonna be a downpour game. I'm gonna say the Texans win it, 23 to 10.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah,
I think
23.
they're gonna. I think while the weather's still, somewhat tolerable, they're probably gonna throw it as much as they can. So I can probably see them, scoring. If they score, like 14 or 21 points early, game's over.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. The strength with the Texans that whenever they score a good amount of points in the first half, we've noticed that after the second half, it gets a little lackluster with the offensive plays and stuff like
Yeah,
that. More so recently, I guess. But I think once like they make up, it almost seems like what they do in the first half almost kind of makes up for like the second half because you still come out with a win or whatnot. So, yeah, I agree with you. If the Texans really do score a big amount of points in the first half, game's over. Like that's it.
yeah. I see them scoring in the first half 21 points,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the second half it's gonna be a field goal fest. So I think
Yeah, well,
final score is gonna be 27-9
27-9. Okay.
Texans.
27-9 Texans, and I got 23 to 10. I'll take that any day. Um, that's my sports. TMS posted CJ Stroud's going to have a game. Yes, sir. That's what we want. That's what we
Yeah.
want to see. Also, thanks for checking us out. All right. I think that's going to be it for us today, Rios. It's going to be It's a short one. Anything else you want to add on, bro?
Uh, Hopefully the Cowboys lose and LeBron's still a bitch.
Heard it from Rios, y'all. Also, thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to spank that subscribe button as it says at the bottom. Follow us up on X at JustFans22 and our Instagram account. We're trying to get those numbers up at JustFansPod. That seems like that's going to be it. We're leaving you guys so you guys can take that time, adjust your fantasy lineups in case you forgot, which I do pretty often. And that's it. All right. Rios, thanks for joining me, bud. And go Texans. Yes, sir.